go live on the Facebook group. And then, are you all set?
I am all set.
Okay, so we are going live. All right, welcome everyone. I'm Julia Jett, and welcome to the Spiritually Minded Entrepreneurs Summit. Today I am joined by Ray Roach. Hey, Ray.
Hello.
Ray Roach embarked on an intense journey of self discovery to find her authentic voice. Now, through her coaching sessions, dynamic speaking, writing, healing sessions, and workshops, Ray teaches others how to uncover and embody their personal truth and pursue a life of joy and purpose. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Well, yes, of course I can. Um, I will say, my entire kind of like, where do you start when somebody asks you a question like that? It's like, which part of me do I really want to start with? But my entire life, I always felt like I didn't fit in, and I was always thinking I was morphing to the people around me, to the situations around me, and it became just such a thing to put on a mask and go into a room, put on another mask, go into another room, take this one off, put that one on, that I got to a point where I just really didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I stood for. I didn't know what my passion was. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know anything. And then I just kept trying to be something I wasn't. I remember in high school, I wanted to be an attorney, and everybody said, "Oh no, you really should be an accountant. You're so good at numbers." So I thought, okay, well, I'll just be an accountant then. And I was good with numbers. Accounting was not what I wanted to do, but I would go into one career trying to find something, to another career to try to find something, to another career to try to find something. And I finally realized that finding me was really the path I needed to walk. And it took a very devastating divorce to emotionally, financially, spiritually, to actually start on that journey to me. And when I did start that path, I realized that finding yourself is not an easy task, and finding yourself alone is really difficult. And I don't want that for other women when they're at that point where they're thinking to themselves, who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? I want to help them out because I didn't have that help at the beginning and it was very treacherous. So I want to truly help those women that are ready to find themselves, to help them on that path.
Hmm. What what do you think is the first step to finding yourself? And I mean, you know what? What is finding ourselves? What does that even mean? I remember when I first started my journey of recovery, I used to hang out with this mechanic, and he was really interesting because he really liked to do mushrooms, and so he would do mushrooms and wax philosophically while he worked on my car. And he said, "You're so lucky that you're so young and you're finding yourself." And I was just like, "What does that even mean? How do we what does finding ourselves mean?"
Well, that was my whole thing is like, I was looking for something my entire life and I had no idea that what I was looking for was me.
Mm.
And then when I realized that, I was in this class that a friend of mine was giving on inner child, love yourself, inner child work. And I thought, I got this down. I've done the inner child work. I'm golden. So she goes this inner child meditation. And halfway through it, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my mind here. I'm about ready to, I can't contain myself. And a little bit later, through the whole system, she was like, "Oh, I'm going to do another inner child meditation." I was like, "Oh no, 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 I'm not doing that." And she goes, "Well, we can do 2 minutes instead of five." And I was like, "Oh no, you do your thing. I'm not doing it." Because I thought if I do one more inner child try to find myself, I'm going to lose my whole. I don't want to pass. I'm going to lose it, right? But after that, I realized that I really needed to talk to my mom because I never felt like I belonged ever. So, and my mom and I had a contentious relationship. So I called my mom and said, no finger pointing, no blame, no shame, no nothing. I just really want to know, do you have any idea? And when I asked her the questions I needed the answers to, she immediately had the reason. And from that moment on, I thought, oh my gosh, this makes total sense as to why this is. So when you try to find yourself, it's truly about finding who you are for, who you are to essence, who you show up for every day, how you show up. That's truly what finding yourself is living in your truth in this now moment and being totally okay with it.
Mm.
And that was a journey. Let me just tell you, that was a long journey because I fought myself the entire way. It's like you're not finding you, but yes.
How do we how do we drop that judgment of like you're not finding you and like and just proceed on the journey? How do we let that go?
I think a lot of it. The first time I heard this thing, I think it was Tony Robbins that said it. When the pain of staying the same is more than the pain of change, that's when you truly start doing the work.
Mm,
So, and there's another way to say it, and I can't remember. That's the one I always remember. So, when being me, what that me is, or being you, whatever that you is, the pain of change, what it takes to change is too great for us to take. But then when the pain of remaining who you are, of being this person in this iteration and this version and this narrative that you're putting out there is too painful to stay, then you know you've got to make changes. So I think that's when you can start to drop that I always say me was fighting me and me won, but or me lost, I lost or I won. But I think when you get to that point where being who you are in this now moment is too painful, you know that it's time to make those decisions to start down that road, discovering who you truly are.
mm. Do you think that people would be happier if they put more effort into decide like finding who they truly are? I wonder this because sometimes right now, I haven't really been working on myself so much. And then so I come to that place of judgment again where it's like, have I grown complacent? And is that bad? Like, should I be like, should I'm shooting all over myself, where like and I mean, so I'm almost answering my own question here because perhaps I would be happier if I just did the thing, you know?
Well, I think if you're truly living in your now moment and you are accepting and happy and you are who you are and you accept every bit of that, you're perfect in all of your imperfections, then you really have no other way to be but to be happy. But
Mm,
in saying that, we all still have a journey to go through. Just because we've made it to that one place doesn't mean that I've made it. There's still traumas to overcome. There's still triggers that will be triggered. There's still other things that we have to, dive into. And I think a lot of it is we tend to think that it's on a timeline, and this timeline is self-constructed. There is no timeline. We just need to do it when we do it. So if you're in a place of complacency, then that's a place where you maybe have to sit back and reflect on kind of like what's going on instead of
mm,
constantly just pushing forward, because then you find yourself in just another mask that you're putting on, just another version, iteration of yourself that's not the truth. So I think there was this one time that there was a couple of years I thought, I need to really just stop doing all this stuff, stop pushing myself to be something that I'm still not even sure what it is. And I was at a friend's house staying. I live in Oklahoma right now, and I was in Virginia staying at a friend's house. And she comes in after work, and I was laying on the bed in the room, and she came in and she was like, "Hey, so I was thinking," and then she looks and she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I was reading a book," and I said, "Oh." And she goes, "It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon." I said, "Okay." She goes, "You have your pajamas on." I said, "Okay." And she goes, "Is that what you've been doing all day long? Nothing?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "How do you just do nothing?" So, and at that point, I thought, I have perfected laying around doing nothing all day long and feeling 100% okay with it because I always thought I had to be busy. So,
mm,
coming to that place of understanding that it's okay to sit in that contemplative mode, it's okay to be reflective, it's okay to sit and do nothing while you try to figure something out. It's really okay. It's societal pressures that say we have to constantly be on the move, constantly improving ourselves, and we don't. all within ourselves.
Mm. I would love for you to tie that into entrepreneurship and business because, as entrepreneurs and especially as spiritually minded entrepreneurs, there can be so many so many feelings of misalignment where society is telling us that we need to be this way, and then we have a whole another part of society telling us that to be okay as a spiritually minded entrepreneur, we can't accept money, we can't truly thrive, we have to give things away, but we also have to work really, really hard. So where do we find our own authenticity and ability to thrive in that societal scape?
I think a lot of times people external, no, I like to call them normies outside of the spiritual world, don't understand what the spirituality actually is. It's not something it's not tangible. So I'm not selling you a widget. I'm not saying here, this is a product that you can put your hands on and that you could wear or use or eat or whatever you do, and it's worth X amount of money. Spirituality isn't like that. Spirituality is a feeling, it's a connection, it's an alignment that you were talking about earlier. It's all an alignment. But what it actually does too is it helps you, the individual, get to a place of transformation. It helps you, the end result is to get somewhere that you've been having such a hard time getting to. That is worth something to both of you, especially to the person that is going through this transformation. And that's kind of like what the alignment is that my job as a spiritual healer is to help you get to your best self. And when you get to your best self, you're unstoppable. So this whole thing about giving it away, nothing, nothing should be given away. It's all, a quid pro quo where I give you an experience and this experience is worth something. And it's kind of like what the market will bear. But there is nothing about spirituality that means that you can't be successful financially.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So we all have to live and we all have to eat. And I don't think anybody out there in the spiritual world is charging $1 million for an hour, as some people do. That, how is that different than what we do? Does that make sense? Like if I'm some big coach and I'm charging you $1 million for, a VIP experience, how's that different than me helping you get to yourself and charging you a reasonable rate?
Mm,
I think it's
yeah.
more so societal not understanding what it is we really do. But the alignment comes within you. You
Mhm.
have to believe in what the transformation that you're giving to somebody else. And once you truly believe in that and you see the result of it, and the other person feels the result of it, that's priceless.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
And I mean, at the same time, somebody still could really feel connected with paying that $1 million. If somebody wants to charge it, then maybe somebody needs to pay that $1 million so they can get a result for themselves. Whereas other
Exactly.
people feel much more comfortable paying something different
Yeah.
and and getting a similar result. But everybody's like in this different space where they're going to get the result that 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 they need.
Yeah. And again, we all start somewhere. We all say, well, I can't charge too much because I really don't have the experience or I don't have the testimonials. And we all, every single person, even the person that charges $1 million, every single person starts somewhere. So start there and grow and expand because when you start doubting yourself, that's when expansion is coming because that's when you're going to your next level. When that doubt creeps in, that means that you are working on something within yourself and you are getting ready to truly like bump up and start expanding even more.
Mm. I feel like I've definitely like sometimes, we hit that wall where it's like we're bumping up against that wall. And that wall usually has so much to do with fear. And, how do we move past that? Like what's a reframe that we can use to, move these limiting blocks so that we can get to that next level?
you have to remember that the block that's up there is self-inflicted.
Mhm.
So that block you put up, it doesn't matter who said what. Whoever said whatever it was that you now took as truth within yourself, then you now put up these walls, these blocks, these beliefs, these mistruths, because your mind doesn't know the difference between a truth or a lie. It only knows what you tell it. So
Mm.
if you tell it that's too expensive, then your mind is going to go out there and say, find all the reasons why that's expensive, why you don't believe in yourself, why you're not worthy, or anything like that. It's going to start looking for affirmations to what you tell it. So the biggest thing you need to do is start telling it something different. You need to start believing in yourself, to start showing, to start showing up for yourself, to start doing your zone of genius.
Mm.
Go out there, do it. And once you do it, you're going to see that transformation in another person. And that's going to make you, I don't say make, because that's the wrong word to use. That's going to inspire you to do more. And the
Mm.
more you do, the more you give. And the more you give, the more transformation that comes out there. The more transformation that comes out there, the bigger you go. And then it just keeps expanding, it just keeps growing.
Yeah.
So you are your block. Just like I said, I was in my own way. We're all in
Mm.
our own way.
Oh,
It's like,
totally.
who's winning, me or me? You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, that reminds me of times where I've been like, but that is the truth. Like that is just how it is. And that's why it's not going to work, you know? But that's just me deciding that here's the wall
Mhm.
and it's, and it's there. It's not movable. But once I decided that, you know what? F
You
that
decided
wall.
to put it there. Yeah,
You know,
you decided to put it there.
I'm taking a
Yeah,
wrecking block to that wall, like taking a
yeah,
wrecking ball
right.
to the wall. It's
Y-
like I'm moving past that. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be true, you know?
no,
Like
no.
it was a
It's only
choice that I
true if
made.
you, yeah, I was gonna say, it's only true if you choose to make it true. So, Stu, you put that wall up there, so just tear that wall down. Now, of course, I say that, and it's pretty easy to say.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've been at some walls that I thought, nah, screw you, you're coming down. And it comes down pretty easy. Then I've been at some walls where I just keep banging my head, banging my head, banging my head, banging my head before until I finally believe in myself. And it just always comes back to self. It always comes back to your belief, the words you use, the narrative that you say, the story that you're living. And just you have to remember, is this the story that you want to continue with? Does this story want to be yours from now until eternity? Or do we want to rewrite it and do something?
Mm. How would we go about rewriting a story for ourselves? Because sometimes, rewrite my story. It's like we can't really change our past, but there are things that we can do for ourselves, and maybe you can fill us in.
Yeah. You can't you can't change the only way you can change the past. The only way you can change the past is by changing today.
Mhm.
Because if you change today, then tomorrow, today is the past.
Yeah.
So and I always say time kind of like folds into itself. So if you start today, I make the decision to rewrite my story. Today is the day that I'm not going to do societal norms. Today's the day that those people that say, well, you can't do it, I'm going to stop believing them. Tomorrow, now my past is different. I've already started to rewrite my story. But in rewriting your story, you have to get your subconscious mind on board with your conscious. Because if your subconscious mind still believes you can't, it's going to continue to rule your day-to-day life
Mm.
until you can get both of them, your heart and your head, that coherence to start to, to, to start to be in alignment. Because if your mind says, no, I don't think so, and your heart goes, but I really want it, and mind goes, once those kind of get into coherence, then you're going to be able to get to the next step. So believing in it all comes back to believing in yourself. It all comes back to you are the best version of yourself today, and tomorrow you will be a better version of yourself. So start making each day a better version of yourself.
Mm. Oh, I love that. And I wonder if there was ever a time where you might have felt misaligned in your business, and how did you find realignment?
I, yeah, I mean, there was, goodness, I, first of all, my entire life was that way, so we won't even go down that road. But when I started doing this, the business with coaching, first, I didn't want to be called a coach. I thought, coach, rah, rah, siskin, blah, blah. I was like, I don't want to be a coach. I want to be a mentor. I want to be a guide. So I tried to tried to do that, and it didn't work. Also didn't work out. It just didn't align right. It didn't feel right. I would still help people. I still guide people. I still mentor people, but it still didn't feel right. And it kept just like slowly changing, slowly morphing until I finally said, okay, Ray, you're going to be a coach and you're going to like it. And from that moment on, things really started just falling into place. Because in truth, that's what you're doing. You're coaching somebody to, you're never pushing somebody and telling them what the problem is. You're coaching them to pull the problem out themselves. You're coaching them to ask the right questions. You put them in the right mindset so that they can figure out the problem by themselves because we all have the answers within us. We just can't get it out on our own. And so that's what you do as the coach is you coach them to understand how they can pull it out on their own. And once they can pull it out on their own and see it, then they can start to rewrite it, reform it, start living a different life, start being more aligned, and all of those things.
Mm. And how do you see spirituality and mindset as interwoven?
I think everything starts in your mind. Well, they say, spirituality, it's a frequency. And we're kind of not there as to how we can use that frequency without putting words to it. But the way you speak to yourself, the way you speak about yourself, the way you look at other people and judge other people for their lack of whatever, when you start looking at those things, then you start looking inward. And when you start looking inward, you start connecting with source, God, spirit, universe, whatever you choose to call it. And then you connect to a higher self. You connect to something that's more on the line of love. And when you connect to that, then everything that you do beyond that is just an extension of that love within your deep seated core.
Mm. And how would we create a mindset that creates a financial flow that feels great in our businesses? Because like we were saying earlier, like sometimes there can feel like there's that disconnect between a cash flow and still staying spiritual. So how can we create this mindset where it feels great to be in that financial flow and to ask for the sale and to actually have a thriving practice?
I think a lot of it, everything is energy. Money is energy. It's an exchange of energy. I give you something, you give me something, kind of thing. And like I said before, you have to believe in what you do. You have to believe in the transformation that you give to your life. And once you believe in that, then the exchange of money is truly, it's so, I don't want to say it's easy, but the exchange is so much, I can't think of the right word because I don't want to say easy. It's not easy. It's more acceptable when you think of money as a flow of energy. And I give you something, you give something back in return, which happens to be money. So I think when you get to that point where you understand what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then the money will flow because it truly is just that. It's an energetic exchange. And when you believe in that, things just begin to flow, things begin to come to you, things begin to write, you begin to feel at one with your overall essence.
Mm. Yeah. When you start to feel kind of more in that flow and just part of the larger whole.
Yeah, because it's all a collective. We are part of a larger collective, and everything is just again an exchange. There, I know we all know somebody that loves to give all the time but doesn't want to receive.
Mm,
So
yeah.
they're blocking that flow
Mm,
of energy. It's all, reciprocal. You give some, you get some, you give some, you get. But how many people do you know that are like, oh, I don't want to take anything from you. I just want to give. So
Mm,
that's that whole blockage. So don't block yourself in receiving as you're giving.
yeah,
So stop blocking yourself.
I love that. And what inspires you in your work?
You know what inspires me is when you see that light bulb go off in somebody's eyes
Mm,
when they finally understand that they had the answer all along
mm,
and that they're not the problem. That in and of itself, it's like mic drop done, kind of thing. It's so heartwarming and so inspiring and so it's such a great feeling to see that client go, oh my gosh, I get it. I get now why this is a trigger. I get now why I've been blocked. And I didn't tell them.
mm,
They figured it out. And when you can do that, then you know what to do. You know you have your tools in your toolbox. The next time a trigger comes up, you stop and you go, is that mine? Somebody else's? Is this the truth? That I accept it? And why? You start asking yourself the questions to get to that next level, to get past, to get to the other side of through, so that you can look back and go, gosh, that was a little hard, but goodness, that was worth it. And then you go on.
yeah. Do you, what do you find is a great way when it gets tough, because you're just like, I did that hard thing and then I got past it. How do we, what's a way that we can do that hard thing so we can get past it?
You know, the first of all, it's only going to be as hard as you make it,
Yeah.
and and God knows we can make it really difficult on ourselves, really difficult. And sometimes now when I hit something, like this wall that I produced for myself, I think, oh my God, this is so hard. How am I going to get through this? And then I think to myself, okay, why are you doing this to yourself? First of all, you put the wall up, you put the block up, you put the limiting belief up. So let's figure it out. Let's get through it. Take as much time as you need. You need to sit with it. You need to sit and figure out like where it came from. You need to allow the feeling that's going through you. Once you allow the feeling, then you need to learn from this experience. And once you learn from the experience, you grow because of it. So none of this has a timeline. So when people say, I should have already been there, I should have already done it, there's no timeline. Time is a construct that we humans have put together. If you believe in quantum physics, which it always confuses my mind, quantum, quantum physics, but if you believe in quantum physics, time is a construct. Work through it as you work through it. Just don't stop. Don't sit and go, I can't do it,
Mm,
because then you're limiting yourself. And, I ask my clients all the time, is this the story you want to be? Is this the limitation that you want to put on yourself? And 99.9% of the time, they're like, no, actually, it's not. I want to get over this. Sometimes you're not ready, and that's okay too. There's no shame in the game. If you're not ready, you need to sit with it a little longer, then sit with it a little longer. But don't push it aside, put it in a cupboard, shut the door, and leave it there. You still need to deal with it. So I think a lot of it is going through that process, sitting with it, allowing it, learning from it, and growing because of it.
yeah. And how does how does truly like thriving in our businesses inspire us into our spirit's greatest work?
I think a lot of it, I don't I guess I'm gonna have to look into this. I don't really like the thriving because it makes it sound like we're trying too hard. I think,
Mm,
if I'm thriving is just right above surviving. And
mm,
if we're truly the best expression of ourselves, then we're living. We're
mm,
not surviving, we're not thriving, we're living the best expression of ourselves. And if we're
mm,
living the best expression of ourselves, then in spirituality wise, then we're right back to that core that I was talking about earlier, that we're all connected with this one thing down deep, and that's love. And if we can connect to that love and can express it out, then there's no thriving. There's just being a better version of yourself. It's all about being in the moment. It's all about being in flow. It's all about understanding who you are, accepting who you are. So I think when you get into that realm, like I said before, things just start to fall into place. Things start coming to you because your mind believes a different story, and your mind is going out and looking for those affirmations to that story. So when we believe that, that's where the magic. So when you believe spirituality, there's an abundance that belongs to everybody.
Mm.
There's there's no competition. There's no like there's only so many people in the world, and you can only have five. Julia, that's all you get. Five. I can have six. You can only have five. There's there's none of that. It's all abundance, and we're all built to receive that abundance. We just have to learn how to receive.
Mm. I
I don't know
agree.
if that answers the question.
Oh, no, I love that answer because like you said, we just open ourselves up to receive. And I love how you're saying that what we really want to do is live as the greatest expression of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just about thriving. It's it's about, grow, like it's about that growth. And I mean, thriving and growth and flourishing and all of these things, it reminds me of plants. And
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's one step above surviving. And
yeah,
I don't want to survive. I don't want to thrive. I want to be the best me I can be.
yeah.
And some days it's a little work. Most days I look at myself and I think, today I want to be better than I was yesterday.
Mm,
And that's the great goal to have. I want to be a better person today than I was yesterday. And sometimes yesterday wasn't so good, but today's going to be better because I do a modality called access consciousness. And there's a statement that they do that they say it's how does it get any better than this?
mm,
So you were asking before, like, how do I get through some of this stuff? If something's kind of like going wrong today, I'm thinking, I just can't get it together. Something's not happening right. I tell myself, how does it get any better than this? And it doesn't matter if it's the worst day of my life or the best day of my life. How does it get any better than this? Automatically tells your mind it's going to be better. So if you're in a low vibration today, it's going to be better. You're in a high vibration today, it's still going to be better. So how does it get any better than this?
mm. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah,
And
thank
I'm
you.
I'm curious if there's a way that we can stay connected to you and your work.
Sure, you can. Everything is under my name. My social media is all under my name, Ray Roach, Raeroach. And I have a group for empowered women that you can also join. You can find that through my Facebook page. And my my website is rayroach.com. I don't know, I used to think Ray Roach was pretty an uncommon name. It's really not. So I don't know how I was able to get like everything is just my name. So if you want to find me, I look forward to connecting with you and helping you become the best professional.
Hmm. And is there anything that you'd like to add to this conversation?
The only thing I guess I would like to add is believe that you are and can be great. Believe and know that you can succeed in your passion.
Mm.
And so basically, believe in yourself. Once you start believing in yourself, there's nothing that's going to stop
All right, everybody, believe in yourselves. Thank you so much, Ray, for joining us on the
you.
Spiritually Minded Entrepreneurs Summit. I'm Julia Jett, and I was joined today by Ray Roach. Thank you
Thank you.
again. All right,
Thank you.
everybody, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Have a great evening.